In this lesson, we're going to explore ways in which we can make our applications interactive when the user hovers their mouse on components. So what we have over here is a dashboard with a gray background, a container with a white background, and then a container inside it, which we'll be working on. That's this one over here. Excuse me, it's this one over there. You'll notice that this is a container, not a container simple. So just like in the previous lesson where we had to make something a container to make it clickable, we also need a container to make it hoverable. So we're going to add canHover in this case, make it true, and because we've done that, we can specify hoverPrps. HoverPrps is an object with an on and off object inside it, and this is a set of properties we want to set when the mouse is hovered on the component. So we can set the background color to red when the mouse is on, and the background color to transparent when the mouse is off. We can specify multiple properties for this as well. Make it round when the mouse is on, and just back to the original value when the mouse is off. We can also affect other components when the mouse is hovered on a component, as in affect child components. So let's change the icon color when the mouse is on the component. Now, because we need to affect this component, we can't use hoverPrps anymore. HoverPrps are only used when you're trying to affect yourself. If you want to affect something else, you can use scripts or flows. Let's explore flows first. So for this, we're going to need to put a scope on this component. Relative ID over there. Instead of static IDs, just so we have a way to reference this. Now we can put a flow on this component. The from key is now I believe it's hovered. 2 will be a scoped ID, container.icon, and 2 key will be value. But because value is the default, we can ignore this one. But now what's going to happen is you see there's no icon. If we go into DevTools and inspect our icon, you'll see the value has been made false. When we hover on it, it changes to true, and there's no icon available for true or false. So something we do very often with hover states is we map the value of the state, true or false, we map it to a different value to be used in this case as the icon. So to do this, we specify a new key for a flow. It's called mapFunctionString. This is a JavaScript function expressed as a string, which will be called on the value of the flow. So we have our arguments first, v being the value. This can be anything. Value hovered. This is just the name of my arguments for my function. I'm going to define an arrow function, and inside I'm just going to do return. Just for now, let's just return face. And now whenever this flow fires, the value of the key being flowed, the value of the hovered key will be inside v. It'll call this function, and whatever is returned by this function will be put into the value of this icon. So now, initially on load, we'll already see that the face is there because it's just a hard-coded value. What we can do now is convert this into an if. If v equals true, we can return phone. Else, we can return home. So true, phone, false, home. A very quick way to rewrite this, just a shorthand for a function, because we only have one argument, we can remove those. We only want one expression, so we can remove the curly braces as well. And we can just rewrite this as v question mark, phone, colon, home. This is called a ternary expression and basically evaluates the same thing we've done before. It says that if v is true, return phone. If v is false, return home. And v, of course, being the value of the flow, the value of the key, which is the hovered state. We could also have this flow on the icon itself instead, meaning that now we don't need the to, but we do need a from, and the from being container. Again, it is normally best practice to put your flows on the component being changed. In this case, the icon is changing when something else happens, so the flow should be here instead, even though both ways do work. Lastly, instead of using a flow, we can use a script. So let's put scripts on this. We're going to have one trigger. Event is, as before, on state change. The source is the container, because that's what's being hovered on. The key we want to listen to is hovered. And let's give it some actions. Let's just do a set state of the value. Let's just hardcode this to face. Because key value is the default, we can remove this. So now as soon as I have it on it the first time, you'll see the face being set. Notice how flows immediately trigger when the component mounts and scripts do not. So when this was a flow, we would have seen the face pop up immediately because flows fire immediately when the component mounts. Scripts only fire once the state actually changes over there. If we wanted it to fire on mount as well, we would need to tell it to fire on mount. We just have more granular control when it comes to scripts. Now, of course, we want to conditionally do things based on whether the value was true or false. There's multiple ways we can do that we'll discuss in future lessons. For now, you can use this as an example. We're going to specify a match. Don't worry too much about the syntax of this, you can just copy it for now. Is truthy, and the key is hovered. So when we are hovering on it, it should be set to face, and we can copy the script. Now we have two scripts, one script for is truthy, and the other one will be is falsy. So let's make it phone. When it is being hovered, let's just change this. Let's make it face initially. So when we do hover on it, we make it phone, and when we're not hovering on it, let's make it home. So initially we'll see the face, hovering makes phone, hover off makes home.